Hello, and welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Angela Potter. I am a functional medicine PCOS fertility doctor, helping women like yourself turn around irregular periods, get regular ovulation, and have the best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. I am so happy to see you here today. We have a really fun topic today because I have some sustainable and easy tips for you in order to continue supporting your PCOS, keep your eyes on your fertility goal, and also be enjoying the holidays. Before we get into that juicy topic, I want to tell you that next week, right now we're in the last week of November, as you know. Next week is the first week of December, and that is the last week in 2024 that I have PCOS Fertility Breakthrough Sessions open. If you have been thinking about that and you want to jump on that, make sure to check my calendar for next week to see the openings that I have. That you can find at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. If the calendar is already booked for next week, don't worry. You will be able to see the January time opening, so jump on a spot in January. Also, be sure to subscribe here so that you stay updated on the new podcast episodes that are coming your way throughout the whole month of December and into 2025, okay? The podcast is staying strong. You will get a new episode every Wednesday. So thank you for being here. If you are a new listener, I am overjoyed to have you here in this community. This is a really cool community, and it is a group of women who are trying to break through their PCOS, who are determined to not just fall for that kind of advice that, oh, well, your labs are fine and we can't do anything for you, but give you medications or refer you forward to IVF. It's a group of women who say, no, that kind of advice just doesn't sit well with me. I want to figure out the root cause of my fertility struggles. I want to know how to regulate my body, how to balance my body so that I can get pregnant with PCOS. Because PCOS is not a diagnosis exclusively for infertility, okay? Women with PCOS get pregnant. And you are here because you want to know what it is that your body needs in order to start turning around your hormones, getting regular cycles, getting ovulation back naturally for your body, and what you can be doing in order to get pregnant with PCOS. So if those are your goals and that resonates with you, then you are in exactly the right place. So welcome. And today we are talking about these holiday tips because it's the week of Thanksgiving. Yes, we've already had Halloween, so we are in the holiday season, but we're really turning that corner into the festive time, right? There is parties, there's gift giving, there's lots of food around, maybe in your office, or your family cooks traditional special foods over the holidays. There's just so much festivity in the air. And also, when you have PCOS and you're trying to stay focused on your fertility, you can find yourself sad that you don't feel like you can eat your favorite foods during the holidays. It's hard to stay on track with the eating that you've set yourself up for, especially when you're surrounded by foods that are made with so much effort and love by your family. And it can be really hard to know what to eat during this time. Yes, you want to be enjoying the holidays, but also there are these thoughts sitting on your shoulders. And when you're walking into a party and when you're going over to your family holiday meal, it can be really stressful and hard. Well, today I'm sharing with you 5 tips that you can use during the holiday season so that you can be supporting your PCOS, supporting your fertility goals, and also be enjoying the holidays. I do not come from a medical perspective of restriction. There are ways to be supporting fertility without feeling like you have to avoid sugar throughout the whole holiday season, that you have to avoid all the sweets and the lovely home-baked traditional foods that your family makes. No, there's just ways to set up your nourishment throughout the day and your movement so that your body is prepped to be eating these foods and really enjoying them, and you're not getting usual symptoms like big blood sugar swings or not getting really irritable, not contributing to your, estrogen and your progesterone and your testosterone levels being out of whack. No, you can be supporting that nourishment in your body while also enjoying the holidays. Holiday tip number 1 is to eat protein throughout the day consistently. So imagine this, you've got a holiday party, let's say Thanksgiving, that's coming up, right? It's a big dinner and you're going to be eating a lot of food in the evening, afternoon, evening, right? And so you might say to yourself, well, I'm going to eat a very small breakfast. I'm going to not eat lunch, and I'm just going to save up a lot of my calories for the evening meal. What's happening hormonally in your body is that your blood sugar, by the time you show up for that Thanksgiving meal, your blood sugar has plummeted. It has crashed. And so, one, you're a little irritable in a time where you're surrounded by family and friends and you want to be enjoying this time. You also have sugar cravings. Like, you could go straight for the pie. You could skip the turkey and go straight for the pie because your body, your blood sugar has tanked and your body is craving sugar in order to raise those blood sugar levels. And so then you don't jump straight to the pie. You sit down, you have your Thanksgiving meal, you eat way, way more than you wanted to. You now feel overly stuffed, and then you still eat the pie, and you are in that post-food stupor by the end of the day, and then that's setting you up for more blood sugar swings into the weekend. Now, what you can do in order to set yourself up for a really steady day where your mood stays steady, your blood sugar stays steady, which then helps that cascade to help with your progesterone and estrogen and testosterone levels, is you eat protein throughout the day. Try for about 30 grams of protein at breakfast. Sure, you don't have to eat a huge breakfast, you don't have to eat a huge lunch, but you want to be eating some foods in the morning and midday. You want to have a good breakfast that's really protein rich. For lunch, you want to be eating some protein. Have some greens, have some veggies with that lunch so that then by the time you get to that Thanksgiving meal or whatever holiday dinner you're having with your family or your friends, sure, you're hungry, you're ready for this really great meal, but you've set yourself up starting by the morning time to have really good blood sugar throughout the day. And so when you sit down for that meal, yes, you can fill your plate. Yes, you can have lots of this yummy food. And you're not coming from a place of, oh my gosh, I'm starving, I need to eat everything. And then you can also be still enjoying the sweets because your blood sugar isn't crashing. So that is tip number 1, is to be eating protein throughout the day, with breakfast, with lunch, with dinner, with your snacks. Proteins are things like eggs, animal products, dairy, beans, nuts. Those are good sources of protein. That moves us into tip number 2. Now, there's lots of sweets during the holidays, right? You don't have to be just avoiding sweets all the time. I recommend that if you have a sweet tooth or you really enjoy sweets over the holidays, is to eat them and being mindful of eating them with a meal. So this is tip number 2. When you're eating sweets, eat them with a meal. And if you're following tip number 1 already, you've had protein with that meal. And so when you eat those sweets, say, a sugar cookie or a piece of pie with that meal, that is slowing the blood sugar response that your body has to that sugar because you're eating it at the same time as you're eating that protein, those other nutrients. So that slows down that blood sugar response, which is a really good thing. So when you're eating sweets with your meal, that is supporting your blood sugar response. What's the alternative is eating a sweet on its own. Just, middle of the day, you had lunch about noon, you're going to have dinner at 6:30 p.m. It's 3:00 right now, and you have a couple of sugar cookies or you have a leftover piece of pie. Having that sugar on its own when you haven't eaten since noon, that's going to really spike your blood sugar levels. And then they're going to crash later in the day. They're also going to contribute to those progesterone and estrogen and testosterone levels just staying out of balance. So what you can do is be eating those sweets with a meal. So tip number 2 is to enjoy sweets with your meal. Tip number 3 is to be baking with whole grain flours and sugars that don't spike blood sugar quite as high as refined sugar. You might be somebody who enjoys baking, or maybe you bake with your friends or your mom or somebody in your family, and so you can talk to them about making these changes this holiday season. And that is adding in whole grain flours and sugars that don't spike blood sugar as much as refined white sugar does. We know it's been very well researched that whole grain flours are going to stabilize that blood sugar response much more than white flour. You can also be using and be creative with different sugars that you use. It's not that all sugar creates the same blood sugar response in the body. White sugar, refined white sugar, is going to have a very different response. It's going to spike that blood sugar than a sugar like maple syrup or a raw turbinado sugar, brown rice syrup, honey, raw honey. Those types of sugars are going to have a slower blood sugar response in the body. So imagine, you've got some favorite holiday cookies that you like to bake, and this year you swap out your white flour for whole wheat flour. Maybe you do half and half, right? You add a little bit of white flour just for that nice soft crumb. And then you use raw turbinado sugar, or you use some maple syrup instead of white refined sugar. Now, you might have to get creative with the recipes there to swap in maple syrup instead of the granulated sugar, but you can find them out there. So imagine having a cookie with the whole wheat flour and the raw sugar or the maple syrup that doesn't cause a blood sugar spike, how much different that cookie is going to interact in your body with your blood sugar levels and your hormones than if you were to using a white flour and the refined white sugar. So again, those are very different. That was tip number 3, is to swap in some things into your baking, which is whole grain flours like whole wheat flour, buckwheat flour, rye flour, and to use different sugars instead of refined white sugar. You can try maple syrup, brown rice syrup, raw turbinado sugar, honey. Those are some nice alternatives. And there are some really good recipes out there for baked goods that would use that. All right, so then tip number 4 is to allow yourself to indulge. Just eat it. Eat the food that is in front of you. Don't go into the holidays thinking, I cannot eat any sugar. I cannot enjoy these traditional, delicious foods that my family bakes during the holiday season. Because if you go into the holidays with that kind of mentality, and you see all this food around you day after day, or after, multiple times you go to your grandmother's house or multiple parties that you're at, you see these foods around. That's just going to turn into a bigger and bigger craving. And then you might just get to a point where you're like, I just need all of this. And then you just overindulge in these foods because you've been looking at them and you've been trying to avoid them for so long. And then you reach this tipping point and you have to eat them. Telling yourself that you can't eat certain foods creates a lot of stress in the body. And that stress then actually increases your blood sugar levels, it increases the testosterone level, and it shuts down ovulation. So there's this fine balance. Remember, we're just here in this holiday season, so you're trying to navigate your PCOS and your fertility just through the next, 4 to 6 weeks, or less than, really. And so if you allow yourself to indulge here and there, the parties that you're going to be at, the people who bring in the really good baked goods to work. And so have one, enjoy one, and really sit down, pour yourself a cup of tea or make yourself a really yummy cup of hot chocolate made with whole milk. Add some cinnamon in there, maybe a little bit of pepper so it's kind of spicy, and enjoy. And create this environment as you sit and enjoy that to really be focused. And then your body, when you're creating this full five senses experience to have that piece of cake or eat that chocolate or whatever it is, you enjoy it. You taste what it tastes like, and you leave feeling satisfied. On the contrary, imagine yourself saying, no, I can't eat those. I can't eat those. And there's this, big, beautiful cookie plate at work every day when you walk in. Day 6 of seeing that cookie plate, you just can't keep it together. And so you grab a bunch of cookies, you go to your desk, you shut your door, and you eat them really fast while, you're listening to a recorded meeting that you had missed the other day. And then you brush the crumbs off and you rush off to the next meeting that you have to get to. You probably don't even really remember eating those cookies. And it's creating that desire for more because you already had that taste of it, but you were so busy, you were so distracted while you were eating them that it's not going to leave you fully satisfied. So when you are having something that you enjoy over the holidays, just eat it. Just eat it. And set up an environment where it's full of enjoyment for yourself. Tip number 5 is to stay active. Now, big caveat here is that I am not telling you to today go out and get a gym membership and make sure that you are spending 45 minutes at that gym before Thanksgiving dinner, and anytime you know you're going to have a holiday dinner, you've got to be at that gym. No. Absolutely not. Just stay active. Move your body in a way that feels really good. Being outside would be wonderful this time of year because the light during the day is shorter. It's colder out there. It's nice to feel cozy sometimes, but that can also lead to some mood issues for plenty of people. And so getting outside is going to raise those endorphin levels. Moving your body, getting your heart rate up is going to increase endorphin levels during this time. Just getting out and going for a walk around the block, getting your partner, your husband, or your friends to go out for a walk with you to keep you accountable. Say, hey, every day we're meeting at this time, or every Tuesday we're meeting at this time. Just move your body. That blood flow that you get from being active and getting just even a little bit of exercise is going to help with your hormones, because that blood flow just keeps hormones moving throughout the body. Your pelvis really needs good quality blood flow to get hormones and nutrients to that area. And so keep your body moving in this time, and that's going to support your mood. It's going to support your blood sugar. We know exercise helps regulate insulin levels, helps drop blood sugar levels or regulate blood sugar levels, and it helps keep that blood flow going for keeping your cycles, keeping those hormones and nutrients moving where they're supposed to be for your fertility. So that's tip number 5, is to stay active. All right, let's summarize these tips. Number 1 is to eat protein throughout the day. Number 2 is to eat sweets with meals. Number 3 is to eat sweets or bake with sweets with whole wheat flour and different sugars that don't spike blood sugar levels, like maple syrup, honey, brown rice syrup, raw sugar. Tip number 4 is allow yourself to indulge and create that environment that allows you to really enjoy the food that you're eating in front of you and leaves you satisfied. And tip number 5 is to stay active, not in a way that's aggressive or stresses you out, but just to keep moving throughout the holiday season to raise endorphin levels, to help with your hormones, and to help with keeping that blood flow and nutrients moving to the pelvis where you want them to be. If the holiday season brings up feelings of sadness and you have spent the whole last year trying to put these pieces together yourself, but you still have not been getting the support that you need to help figure out what your body needs specifically to help turn your PCOS around. You've only been seeing your doctor that says, well, we don't know what else to do for you. We've, tried birth control and that didn't work for you. Just come back when you're ready to go through IVF. It is time to get specific support for your body and your PCOS. That is when fertility opens up the most with PCOS, is when you have an individualized fertility plan that's addressing exactly what's coming up for your body. And that is my expertise to help you get a plan that is specific to your body. If you're ready for that, you can sign up for a free PCOS Fertility Breakthrough Session. That's a free call with me where you and I are going to be talking about your fertility journey. What's been going on over these past few years that you've been trying to get pregnant? What's been keeping you stuck? What are these missing links? And then I'll share with you what's the single most important next step that you can take in order to start turning around your fertility. So you can sign up for one of those at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. And as we wrap up here today, I want to remind you that this podcast is for informational purposes only, and it should not replace the current advice that you're getting from your doctor. And if no one else has told you this today, I want to be the one to tell you that I believe in you and I believe in your ability to figure out the root cause of what's been keeping you stuck, what's been keeping you from getting pregnant, and turn that around so that you have the very best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. I'll see you right back here next week.